Alright guys, welcome finally to the second Sith Q&A. I want to thank everybody who sent in questions as always. If someone's question was not answered, that usually means YouTube was being a dick and marked it as spam, or didn't have it show up on the list at all. So let's get started with Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, favorite Sith Lord from the Old Republic era? You know, there's so many. Darth Nihilus, Darth Revan, Darth Bane, Darth Malgus, so many Sith Lords. It's really, really hard to choose a exact one. I really don't know which I could pick. Maybe Bane or Malgus. Malgus probably more so because he had wanted to change the Sith Order just as much as Bane, but he had an idea what to do with the Sith Empire rather than just dismantle everything and make it just two people. Anyway, second question. Which cartoon characters could you see as Sith apprentices, inquisitors, such as and which Sith masters would train them? Oh, okay. Right off the bat, Dipper Pines. I've said this before, he would make a great Sith Lord. He's got all the makings of one in him. And, you know, he's got the temptation, he always wants to learn stuff. All of that's right there for the taking. So, I would say he would make a great Sith Lord, and his teacher would be Darth Plagueis. Plagueis was a researcher, he was very manipulative, and he was a, very intelligent Sith Lord. So, Plagueis would be his master. In terms of other characters, I would say another one would be Karai. Karai could be another Sith Lord, and I could see her training with Malgus. Who else would make a good Sith apprentice, and who would be their master? Trying to think here. Who else would make a good Sith, a good apprentice to the Sith, to a Sith Lord? Maybe, it's on the tip of my tongue. Amon? Yeah, Amon would be good. And you could say, oh, he's too old to be a Sith. No, not Amon, Zahir, excuse me. Yeah, Zahir. And you may be thinking, Zahir's too old to be an apprentice, you need someone young. Not necessarily. Remember how old Dooku was when he accepted the Sith and was Palpatine's, apprentice? Yeah. So Zahir and his teacher, I would pick to be... His apprentice would be... his master would be... I would say... Bane. Bane would make a good apprentice, master for him. So, there's to name a few. And your third question is, what type of lightsaber would you have if you were a Sith? What type of lightsaber would I have if I was a Sith? Think like the curved handle. Something not like Dooku's, but more like Bane's. Bane's had a curved hilt as well. So, maybe something like in the vein of Bane. Thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Shank X, who asks, I don't know much about the extended Sith, but I have seen most of the Sith are most powerful than the Jedi. Is there a reason for that? Well, that's because the Sith allow the dark side of the Force to generate more into them, because they can, make it stronger through their emotions, whereas the Jedi have to suppress their emotions, because the Force corruption sets in and kills you from within. So the Sith use those powers, but it's more dangerous to their health. Yeah. Second question. What do you think of most people would choose given all the Jedi and Sith rules laid out in front of them? Sith. It's no... yeah, Sith. Third question. As a fun one, what is your opinion on Jar Jar Binks being Darth Plagueis? I've seen this theory video. Look, it's just people trying to be like, look, he was really a genius. No, he's not. He was an annoying character and a plot device in those movies. I hate that character, and people trying to make him smarter it's not going to help. It's really not. So thank you for those questions, and moving on now to Danny DeSanta, who asks, if Lucasfilms hires you to write either a novel or a spin-off movie with a Sith as the protagonist, what Sith character would you write? I would like to do, maybe a Darth Bane movie. Yeah, let's finally do a Darth Bane movie, or something of that nature. Or, do a spin-off novel of, of maybe like not so much the main mission of Bane, but more like something like what he and Zaina were up to during and between some of the novels. So something like that. Thank you for that question, Danny. Moving on now to Zach the Thunder King, who asks, which cartoon villain would make a good Sith? I guess I can answer this one because this is not asking for masters and apprentices. Vilgax, you said, would be a good one. I think Azula, of course, would be another good one. Ozai as well. Toffee from Star vs. the Force of Evil would make a great Sith. And just to name a few of those guys. Yeah. Second question. I'm not sure if you played Star Wars The Old Republic game, but which was your favorite Sith story? The Sith warrior story, the Sith, or the Sith Inquisitor story? Man, it's been a while. But last time I played it was Sith Warrior, and that was pretty fun. Third question. Favorite lightsaber design? Kind of already answered this one. So, sorry, Zach. Anyway, moving on now. But thank you anyway for those questions. Moving on now to Alex Anayas, who asks, what is this all about? What is it about the Sith you like the most? I think it's because they have freedom. They have freedom to do what they wish, and they're not constrained by anything. I think that's the ultimate allure of the Sith, is that they can do whatever the fuck they want, and no one can stop them. If someone can find a good balance with that, rather than, killing each other, I think these guys could have ruled the galaxy 1,000 times over. So, yeah. Second question. Favorite Sith power to exterminate your enemies? Force Drain or Force Lightning, one of those two. Third, you have just joined the Sith. Would you live long enough to see yourself as a monster but a badass Sith Lord, or die with a lightsaber in chest thinking, should have been a bounty hunter? Probably be the latter, unfortunately. So thank you for those questions, Alex. Moving on now to Malingar, who asks, what do you think of the recent popular theory of this Jar Jar being a Sith operative? Kind of already answers with this Plagueis thing. I think it's kind of dumb, to be quite frank. Second question. If given the choice, which Doctor would you like to see face off against which Sith? I think it would be cool to see the 12th Doctor and Vader throw down, because just thinking like how Capaldi talked about how... Actually, no. It would be better to see Vader face off with? John Pertwee's Doctor, the 3rd Doctor, because that dude was fly as fuck, and he could wield a sword pretty damn well, so imagine if he could use a lightsaber. So just imagine those two throwing down. So yeah, Pertwee's Doctor versus Vader. Alright, second question. Oh wait, that was your second question. Third question. Upon entering the TARDIS, what do you think would be the respectful reactions of Sidious, Maul, Vader, and Dooku? They'd all be stepping in there like, boys, checkmate. No, really, that would be the general consensus among all of them. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Malingar. Moving on now to Adavan Rajixham, who asks, do you think the Sith would be more likely to form an alliance with the Yellow Lanterns or the Red Lanterns? Maybe both, but I would say the Yellow Lanterns because they inspire fear. Hatred, I think their game would be a little off if they embrace the hatred a little too much, so I think it would be the Yellow Lanterns more so. But that's just me. Second question. What's your thoughts on the Rebels Inquisitors and their place and role in the dark side? See, I did a whole video talking about this a little earlier, long before I did this video, talking about that, and that was a long-ass video, and I could go on and on about it, but to put frank, I'm on the fence about them, because one, Vader, in the original continuity, Vader was sent to go hunt any remaining Jedi down and kill them, either him or Mara Jade, but she was more like the hunting dog, and he was the hunter. So it would be normally Mara Jade who would sniff them out, and then Vader would go in and get them. But you have to imagine that every little rumor of like, oh, there's a Jedi here, here, and here, you can't expect Vader to go to every single planet and, looking for a Jedi that may or may not be there, or may not be a Jedi. That would be his time wasted, thousands of credits wasted for the Empire, and resources exhausted for the Empire that may be just a wild goose chase, really. So the Inquisitors are a good idea. I'm just not crazy about the lightsabers, because it just really cheapens the lightsaber in general, where we're in the original trilogy, or, the the start of the original trilogy, that's when lightsabers were, you know, a mystical item. Like, only certain people had them, and now it looks like Inquisitors can just take them out, and they're all the same lightsaber. They're all the same thing, and that bothers me because it just makes it just really cheapens the lightsaber for me because it just makes it look like it's a standard weapon. Come on. Now, if they all had different lightsabers, I'd be a little more okay with it, but no, they're all just the spinning blade thing. So again, I'm half and half on them, really. So I could go on and on, but again, I did a video on this, and I went a little more in depth in it. Anyway, I think those questions out of hand. Moving on now to 146 Zigzag, who asked, if you could get a feature-length, high-quality film about Bane, Darth Plagueis, or Darth Sidious, who would you choose and why? I think, as much as I'd like to see, you know, Sidious and Plagueis get stuff, I think Bane, because Bane has like movie trilogy written all over his 3 stories, from Path to Destruction to Rule of Two, and then finally to Dynasty of Evil. So I think if any one of those Sith were to get a novel, not a novel, a movie, it would be Darth Bane, because you got the whole trilogy right there. Plagueis, I would see more at. As I read the Plagueis novel, it felt more like something like you could do as a Netflix TV show, because it felt more episodic. So, yeah. Same goes for, Jason Solo. Second question. If you could have saved one Sith-centric story from the expanded universe purge, what would you choose? Well, I think a majority of the Old Republic stuff is safe, because Disney backed Fallen Empire, didn't it? So, I would say if there was a purge, it would have to be, when the Sith invaded Coruscant thousands of years ago with Malgus at the front. There you go. Who do you think is the most overrated and underrated Siths, power-wise? I don't really know, because they all have their own strengths and weaknesses, and they're all pretty good, so I can't really say who would be overrated or underrated, honestly. But anyway. So thank you for those questions, Zigzag. Moving on now to Matt Bennett. His first question: if Anakin never joined joined with other Jedi, do you think he would be more likely to join the Sith instead? Well, he kind of joined the Sith in the end, so it doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure, they would eventually find him, but who knows. Second question: how much stars could a Star Killer kill if the Star Killer could kill stars? There'd be stars to kill. I'll say that much. Who is your third question? Who is your least favorite Sith? My least favorite Sith. Oh boy. I honestly don't have a least favorite Sith. If we're gonna be honest here, I really don't have a least favorite Sith. I like them all. So yeah, I don't really have a least favorite Sith. There are Sith I just read less of. That doesn't mean I don't like them. So, yeah, I don't have a least favorite Sith. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Matt Bennett. Moving on now to Xavier Ford, who asks, in the first Sith Q&A, you said that Darth Bane could beat Darth Sidious and that Darth Nihilus was the most powerful Sith, but it has been confirmed in the Legends canon and the canon that Sidious is the most powerful Sith, and Darth Vitite, or the Sith Emperor, had equal power in Force Strain. How would win Darth Vader versus Darth Nihilus in a fair fight? Oh, that was your first question. Huh. That was your first question with the Darth Sidious thing. Well, I guess Legends canon beats my knowledge. Plus, I saw a video kind of talking about who would win in a fight between Sidious and Bane, and they made some good reasons as to why Sidious would beat Bane. So, yeah, I'll admit when I'm wrong. So your second question is, if Darth Vader and Nihilus in a fair fight, because Force Strain does not work on Skywalkers. Huh. It doesn't? Huh. Is that canon, or is that still canon? I don't know. Did you know Vader could not use Force Lightning? Yeah, I did, because he has no physical limbs to do that. He has those robotic limbs. But he can, however, create a discharge of electricity from his suit. So think of those questions, Xavier. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, 80 Skeletor gains the power of the dark side. Would he finally be able to capture Castle Grayskull and defeat He-Man for good? No. It's Skeletor, man. Come on. Come on. Come on. Second question. Could any of the following Steven Universe characters work as Sith? Pearl, Peridot, Jasper, Ronaldo, or Onion, Lars, or even Steven himself. Pearl, I could see falling to the dark side if given, this whole Sidious thing of the whole Darth Plagueis story. Peridot, maybe. Jasper, definitely. Ronaldo, nah, he'd screw it up. Onion, yes. Lars, he'd screw it up. And Steven, nah, he's too pure. Third question. Which would be more terrifying? A Bridge Popo with dark side powers, Jason Voorhees from Jason X wielding a lightsaber, or if any of the main six went to the dark side, in addition with their regular powers? Well, I have to say a Bridge Popo with dark side powers, because he already has that. So, given the other two, I would have to say Darth Twilight, or Darthlight, I don't know. So that'd be pretty bad. So think of those questions, Andrew. Sorry to get something to drink. Moving on to Kennedy Samara Cody, who asks, what are the Knights of Ren? Is Kylo Ren a part of it? Okay, the Knights of Ren, what we do know about them, they are going to be in The Force Awakens, and the Knights of Ren are not really Sith, but they are dark side users and worshippers of the dark side. And Kylo Ren, and the title of Ren is kind of like the title of Darth. With the Sith, so it is kind of like that in that sense. But with what we do know about the Ren is that, like I said, they're worshippers of the Sith, and Kylo Ren is like a Darth Vader fanatic, and that's really all we know. He's also like the reverse Luke Skywalker, whatever that means. So there you go. That's all we know, or at least all I know. I've been kind of staying away from everything for the most part with Force Awakens. All right. Second question. Have you played Star Wars The Old Republic? Kind of already answered that question. Most powerful corrupt Sith? Well, as I was corrected before, it's Sidious currently, so yeah. Although Nihilus was pretty powerful. Can't deny that. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Kennedy. Moving on now to Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, Darkseid manages to resurrect the Sith race and have them as new soldiers. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fucked is the DC universe? Especially if Darkseid manages to get control of the Force. It would be a 12, let's be honest here. But then again, I doubt someone like, Ludo Kresh or Naga Sadao or Frieden Nad would, bow to Darkseid, even if he has the dark side on his side. Do you think Batman could... Second question. Do you think Batman could be seduced by the dark side of the Force and become a Sith? No, because he's a goddamn Batman, that's why. No, I'm just kidding. I don't see it. Like, as much as Batman is, besieged by the darkness all the time, he rises above it and finds his way into the light no matter what. So, yeah, I don't think that's possible. That's just me, though. Third question. Palpatine, Doctor Doom, and Firelord Ozai team up. How fucked is the multiverse before they ultimately stab each other in the backs? Pretty fucked. Pretty fucked. Pretty fucked. Anyway. So thank you for those questions. Wolfman the Impaler. Moving on now to Tao Jones T. Jones. And he asks, when do you think we'll see Darth Maul again? I don't know, because if you've read Son of Dathomir, he does get away with Death Watch at his side. The remains of Death Watch, I should say, while Mother Talzin was killed. In that story, which is canon to Clone Wars, he does get away and we never see him again. It's a possibility we might see him in Rebels. That's what I'm thinking, he might be in Rebels. I don't know how, what story they could do with him, but it's a possibility. So think of those questions. Tao Jones. Moving on now to Nick Lenz, who asks, what was your view on Ian McDiarmid when he played the Emperor again in the Star Wars prequels? Oh god, he's one of the best things in there. Ian McDermott you can clearly see how much McDermott had playing Palpatine once more. He's clearly hamming it up like nobody's business, and the thing is that the only two actors that seem to be giving an absolute fuck in this movie, or in the prequels, I mean, are Ian McDermott and Ian McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Those seem to be the only two performances that make you go, yeah, I like that. Yeah, so Ian McDermott was definitely one of the better parts of the prequels, especially the opera scene between him and Anakin. Yeah. Aside from Darth Vader and the Emperor, what three Sith Lords do you like? Bane, Malgus, and Plagueis. Right off the bat. Any thoughts on Star Wars Vader Down crossover? I haven't read it yet because money, because getting money is a bitch. But I really am excited. My friend Sid Part 2 is reviewing it, and it sounds awesome. My friend Blue Goblin 01 is reviewing it as well. It sounds awesome, and I really want to get it in trade. But first, I must get the second volume of Vader when that comes out. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Nick Lenz. Moving on now to Linerman0245, who asks, which Game of Thrones character, in your opinion, could be a Sith Lord that could stand well on their own? Tywin would have made a great Sith Lord. Ramsay. Yeah, Tywin and Ramsay. There you go. Master and Apprentice. Right there. Sorry, I had to get something to drink. So, yeah, those two just come to mind. Alright, how would the Sith react to the following? Ecliptor, Hunson Abadir, the White Rockers, Myotis Mon and his underlings, and the Winchester brothers. They'd just be like, bitch, you ain't got nothing on us. We're the Sith. We're the OG villains. Please. Third question. Which one of these choices would be the most terrifying thing in the Star Wars universe? Alucard is a fully fledged Sith Lord. Reavers as competent as stormtroopers, completely with vibro weaponry. Sam Winchester, complete dark side powers with two twin Sith katanas. Stannis Baratheon as a Force-sensitive, complete with an army of Dark Jedi that is with competent stormtroopers shown in The Force Awakens. I'm going to give it to Alucard as a fully fledged Sith Lord. That's probably the worst case scenario out of all of those. Okay. Thank you for those questions, Linerman. Moving on now to Lydia Cerebros. God, I always mess up that name. Cabrero. I'm one day going to figure out how to say that last name, and I don't mean that as a bad way. She mocks me whenever I mess up the last name. So I should just say Lydia. So Lydia asks, what would the Sith think of these organizations? Hydra, Cobra, League of Assassins, and AIM. Out of all of them, they'd just be laughing. I'd be like, really? Like, look at Hydra. Oh, you've been around for centuries? Oh, that's funny. Cobra? Your leadership sucks, man. League of Assassins. League of Pussies. AIM? What are you, fucking beekeepers? Get the fuck out of here. We're the Sith. Sith, bitches. Second question. How would the Sith react to these individuals? Bill Cipher, Jasper, Doctor Doom, Deathstroke. All of them would make good Sith, or, three of them would make good Sith. Bill Cipher would be like, get the fuck out. Alright, third question. What kind of catastrophic event would force the Sith and Jedi to work together? Well, right now, in Knights of the Fallen Empire, it's the Fallen Empire that's making them work together while they're still trying to kill each other, so there's a good example right there. Yeah. So anyway, moving on now to Darth Venom, who asks, many people think that Luke Skywalker is going to turn to the dark side and possibly be Kylo Ren for some bullshit reason in the new trilogy. What are your theories on the matter? Well, I do think there's a possibility of evil Luke Skywalker. I think there's a possibility of it. He's not Kylo Ren. He is in no way Kylo Ren. Dark Jedi? Possibly. Second question. What comic book villains, either Marvel or DC, would turn to the dark side? All of them. No, I'm just kidding. Like, most possible Sith Lord and Sith Lordy-ish character would be... I don't want to say Doom, because I've said Doom enough. I would say... let's say Dormammu. Yeah, there we go. Third question. Is it me, or does Kylo Ren look awfully a lot like Darth Revan? Yeah, everyone called... Like, when we first saw that teaser with him, with the mask out, and he's got the the crossguard out, I had to, like, rewatch it again. I was like, was that Revan? I just have this weird feeling that when J.J. Abrams was making the movie, Disney was like, no, Revan, no, Abrams, you can't put Revan in this movie. And then Abrams said, fine, I won't use Revan. I'll just make a character that looks like Revan, and I'll give him a cool lightsaber, too. Yeah. So there you go. That's how I interpret it. So thank you for those questions, Darth Venom. Moving on now to Andre Partridge. And his first question is, would you be a Sith Inquisitor if given the chance? Yeah, it'd be fun. What are your thoughts on Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren? I think it's a cool idea, but I really want to see how it plays out in the movie. Because I want to see what created it. Was it a guy named Ren? Or something like that? I don't know. And I want to know more if it has any connection to this character Andy Serkis is playing called Supreme Leader Snoke. Third question, would you like to see Asajj Ventress back in Star Wars Rebels? Sadly, like Darth Venom told you, Ventress was killed in Dark Disciples by Count Dooku. So as much as I hate... And the novel sucked, too. It sucked hard. Not because, like, they killed Ventress, but they killed Jedi Master Thome, who most of you guys would know from the extended universe with Quinlan Vos. They had a lot of stuff there. And this... Man, it's just a... the story structure was awful. Just bad all around. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Andre Partridge. Moving on now to King Nazru, who asks, how screwed would the Rebels be if Ramsay Snow was Force-imbued Inquisitor? Probably all screwed, and Kanan and Ezra would lose their dicks. And Zeb, too. That's all I need to say. Someone as... from the episode Wongburger from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Someone's dick is getting ripped off tonight. Oh, man. Second question. Since Knights of the Old Republic, Rise of the Fallen Empire... Knights of the Fallen Empire is doing to the Eternal Empire, would you like to see the Eternal Empire be a threat in future Star Wars film focusing on Jedi and Sith working together? Could be fun. I don't know if you could do that on a grand scale. It's the movie. It's Disney money. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Third question. If you were Darth Tylee's master, and she was about to rule of two you, what would be your dying words? So basically, if Tylee was my apprentice as a Sith Lord, and she turned on me, what would be my dying words? I've been like, in the back, bitch. Come on. Yeah, like, I would just get stabbed in the back and just be like, you have... What? What? You couldn't let me turn around? Whatever, I'm out. One with the Force, bitch. Oh, yeah. It makes me wonder, like, who would Tylee pick as her apprentice? If we're doing the whole rule of two. Now that I think about it, maybe it would be... I don't know, because you said this was done by another person who wrote the fanfiction. I don't know if she has an apprentice. Maybe Tylee would try to get May. Or Sokka, I don't know. That just makes me think, I don't know. Alright, moving on now to Travis. So thank you for those questions, King Nazru. Moving on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, in your honest opinion, do you think the Sith are stronger than the Jedi since they channel their powers with their emotions, as opposed to the Jedi who don't? Kind of already answered this one, Travis, and you kind of answered your question already. Because I already gave it that kind of answer. So, yeah. Second question. Do you think the Sith, who are more powerful control of the Force, be able to Force control one or two more lightsabers with a dual-wielding other pair? How badass would that... Oh, like basically using the Force to levitate lightsabers. Well, didn't Kreia do that? didn't Darth Treya? Didn't Darth Treya do that in Old Republic? Didn't she do that? Could be wrong, or I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah, I think that was a thing. Third question. I don't know if you've seen Jeremy John's review of Revenge of the Sith, but if you didn't like Anakin's kill Samuel Jackson's character, or was it was in the Sith Lord? Because if he didn't kill him, then Anakin killed any Jedi Masters, only children. It does. It kind of nerfs Anakin when you think about it. Is that he didn't technically kill Mace Windu. He just chopped off his hand and Sidious finished him off. Now, if you've ever played the Revenge of the Sith game, which is completely awesome, if you guys remember, like, it was on PS2 and Xbox, that game actually makes up for a lot of what Revenge of the Sith was. There was also, like, just real quick, I want to talk about the Revenge of the Sith game, and I have a feeling that this question's going to come up later, but the Revenge of the Sith game was so awesome, and it made me like Revenge of the Sith even more. That's probably why I'm so lenient towards that movie, because the game's so goddamn good. There was even, like, a two-player fighting mode, and you could play as Grievous, Vader, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, old Obi-Wan, I think even Yoda, and I think even Palpatine. No, I don't think he could have played as Palpatine. But yeah, you had Count Dooku in there too, and yeah. But that's beside the point. There was also in the story arc when you're killing all the Jedi in the Jedi Temple. There's this master and apprentice that you have to go out and hunt down and kill in the game in that story mode, and it made Anakin as Vader more badass than the killing of children. Not to say killing children's badass. That's kind of a bitch move, but yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, he just killed kids unless you count the badassery in the extended universe with the games and a few other things. So there you go. Same with that question, Travis Rendon. Moving on now to NX57, who asks, what do you think of the theory about Qui-Gon Jinn being a Sith in the afterlife? I don't buy it. He was the one who helped both Yoda and Obi-Wan, attain, that ability to come back through the Force. So, yeah, it doesn't really kind of add up with the whole Sith thing. At least to me, anyway. Alright. Second question. What do you think has been the Sith with the Sith as their biggest failure? Oh, I've been waiting for someone to ask me this question. You see, the biggest thing with the Sith is that they could have destroyed the Jedi hundreds of times over. In fact, there was a point where they took over Coruscant, destroyed the Jedi Temple, and made the remaining Jedi Order flee from Coruscant and go back and rethink their strategy. They could have ruled and destroyed the Republic right there. And Malgus even said, look, we won, let's keep this victory. But nope. What happened was they all just wanted a piece of the pie. They all wanted a piece of the pie, and they kind of got kicked in the ass towards the end. So their biggest downfall, and this was the Sith Empire's biggest downfall, was that literally they just don't trust it. The distrust was their biggest downfall. They literally let their own ambitions and personal vendettas between each other destroy themselves from within. Even when you think about it, even though Darth Bane saved the Sith from itself, from decaying inward, the rule of two is still kind of flawed because there's still that level of distrust. Not only are you fighting the Jedi, you're fighting, your master, or you're fighting your apprentice. So you gotta watch out for two things. If the Sith had unity from the get-go, and just have a darker version of, the Jedi Order, and have that unity, I think they would have been a major threat and ruled over the galaxy even longer. Yeah. So that's been but maybe the Knights of Ren are more unified. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, that's been the biggest downfall, is distrust. Third question. Personally, I think that Katara could be a better Sith than Azula. The reason is that Katara is much more passionate and can still keep her anger from the death of her mother, while Azula is not in control or does not understand her own emotions. With dark side powers, she could not be able to even think clearly. What do you think? I think you have a point of Katara possibly being, manipulated by the Sith. I could see that. Azula, however, really embraces the dark side And even though she doesn't really have the emotional connection as the Sith do, she would kind of be. I think she would be more like Sith assassin or Dark Jedi, if anything else. While Katara, it would be hard to corrupt her because man, that girl has a lot of hope. Anyway. Anyway, let's go on and think of those questions, NX. Moving on now to Mike Root, who asks, what Star Wars characters from movies or series do you least expect to become a Sith and why? From movies or series? I don't know. From Rebel series, I don't really expect... Actually, I kind of expect Ezra to be a Sith. Like, I've got a feeling there's something more with that character that's going to be a little more darker. I don't know, really. Second question. If you can pick one of these three villains to return, which would it be? Jabba the Hutt, Boba Fett, or Vader, and why? I think we've already kind of done enough with Vader and Hutt because they're dead. I would say Boba Fett because, yeah, even Disney said, yeah, he ain't dead, don't worry. So moving on now to Trace Uneo, I hope I'm saying that name right, I apologize for not. Top 5 fictional armies you'd want to see fight the Galactic Empire. The Geth from Mass Effect, the Burning Legion from Warcraft, the Zerg from StarCraft, the Horde also from Warcraft. No, not the Horde. How about maybe the Red Lanterns, and finally orcs, Sauron and his orcs from Mordor in Lord of the Rings. Second question: what name will you give Ahsoka if she became a Sith? Maybe maybe Darth Vixus. There you go. Or Darth Vice or something of that. I don't know. Third question: please rank these actors that you would want to play Thrawn. Aidan Gillen, Oscar Isaac, or Gary Oldman. Well, Oscar Isaac's already playing a guy in the new movie, so I don't know. Also, he's not really a Sith. I don't really know if this counts as a Sith question, but whatever. I guess if any of them, Aidan Gillen would be cool. Gary Oldman's a little too old to be Thrawn. So, Aidan Gillen out of those three. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Trace. Moving on now to Nicholas Harley, who asks, what are your thoughts on the Sith Empire in general? Really awesome, but they kind of caved in on themselves, didn't they? Even in the Galactic Empire, they couldn't really take the rebellion that seriously until, they blew up the Death Star. Oops. What are your thoughts on all 6 episodes of the Sith trilogy? Pretty good. I like it. It's a great story all around. Third question: how do you think Frieza's army would react to the Sith? Probably wipe them all out. I don't know. They're pretty powerful, but if you're going by Resurrection F Frieza army, they weren't exactly that strong, unless he had Frieza on their court. So then it's a totally different story. But yeah, would not do well for the Sith. Thank you for those questions, Nicholas Harley. Moving on now to First Wolfpack, who asks. Do you think there can be Sith is not such an evil personality? Is the dark side just so good at work corrupting essence? I don't know. The dark side kind of corrupts everybody, so it does kind of kill you from within. Second question is: the Knights of Ren are dark side users. When have Kylo Ren and wielding a lightsaber in the trailers where people are similar gears as Kylo that take the saber and something like that, a mark of rank? I get, because they kind of said the crossguard saber is like a Sith relic, so I don't really know what to tell you about that. What is your opinion on non-dark side organizations, and which is your favorite? Fallen Empire was a good one. Night Sisters, they're alright. The Clone Wars kind of nerfed them a bit. Knights of Ren I've got some hopes for. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Frost Wolfpack. Yeah, Frost Wolfpack, okay. Alright, moving on now to the Grey Goblin, who asks, Redeemed Vader versus Darth Talon and Savage Oppressed. I'm still giving it to Vader, because, well, Vader's dealt with a lot of powerful enemies on his own, so there you go, I'm gonna give it to Vader. Alright, Dark Samus, Darth Vader, and Boba Fett and you and Sick Rick get trapped on a ship in a colony of xenomorphs and Super Predator hunting them. Do you all survive? Not really. No. If you can create a Sinister Six to kill Darth Vader, who would you pick? I don't know, because none of Spider-Man's villains would be like, yeah, we can totally kill Vader. Wait, why can't I feel my anything? Yeah. So thank you for those questions, Grey Goblin. Moving on now to John Kelly, who asks, what character outside of Star Wars franchise would make a good Sith Lord? Kind of like I've said before, Dipper from Gravity Falls would make a good Sith Lord, because he's got all the stuff Anakin had, but probably better. Like all the makings of Sith right there. Second question. Darth Vader goes to another alternate timeline where he stays good. Does he fight himself? Yeah, because he'd be like, wait, in this timeline you killed the Emperor? Sweet! Allow me. Now you're dead. I take your shit. I take Padme too. Alright. Darth Vader plus whatever Star Wars-like weapon that lets him control reality. What does he change? He makes it that he's the Emperor and Luke is his right-hand man, and he still has Padme alive? That's what I surmise he would do. Anyway. So think of those questions, John Kelly. Moving on now to Treva Smolka, who asks, Question 1. What is your opinion of the Star Wars Old Republic expansion pack called Knights of the Fallen Empire? Do you think the Eternal Empire is one of the most powerful empires of all time? They destroyed both the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire. Do you also think the Eternal Empire would have taken out Darth Sidious and the Empire? Just wondering. Probably, yeah. Those guys were so fucking OP as all hell. It's a possibility. Second question. What is your opinion of the Sith Emperor from Old Republic? Do you think the Sith Emperor could have taken down Darth Sidious and Vader at the same time? Yeah, because he was goddamn powerful. That dude was like a god. Alright, third question. What is your opinion of Galen Merrick, Galen Merrick, aka Starkiller, Darth Malgus, Darth Bane, Darth Revan, Darth Mar, and also what is your opinion on the Sith Warrior storyline? I kind of already talked about the Sith Warrior storyline. Starkiller is an okay character. The problem is that with Starkiller is that he's a cool character, but he is so goddamn Mary Sue. Like, oh yeah, he was Vader's secret apprentice, and he got a romance with a character that he had no chemistry with. No, seriously, the romance with Juno Eclipse just fucking happens. Like, there's little to no dialogue of them sharing anything with them. It's not like in Mass Effect, where you can choose the dialogue and it feels actually like people talking, or aliens and people talking. In there, it just, like, kind of happens. For no reason, really. And also, I'm just not okay with the idea of this one guy creating the rebellion rather than a bunch of people rallying in the Senate and going, yeah, this is a load of bullshit. But then this guy just, gathers everyone behind him? Huh? Let me say this. I like the game. I really do. I think it's a fun, stabby game. It's God of War in the Star Wars universe. Let's call it what it is. But I'm just not crazy about the storyline. In Force Unleashed 2, oh my god, that is... Ugh. But I do see some fun in it. There is a lot of fun of, you get to see what happened to Shaak Ti, you get to go to Felucia, you get to go to Raxus Prime. There's some really cool stuff there. And I think it added some cool things into the Star Wars universe. But I just wasn't crazy about the story. Again, I like Starkiller, he's not one of my favorite characters, like my go-to character to use and to talk about. But I do enjoy the game. If you like it, if anyone out there likes it or likes the character on a whole, that's totally fine. No ill will against you. Let me say that again. If you like it, I don't, I'm not stepping on any toes here. That's just my personal opinion. If you like it, totally fine. More power to you. Just me personally, at first I would have been like, yeah, Starkiller, awesome. But now as I go through and replay the game most of the time, I'm just kind of like, man, this storyline is just all over the place. Anyway, moving on to Darth Malgus. Malgus would have been... Malgus was an awesome character. Probably one of the better... one of the coolest things in Old Republic. Not to say Old Republic was bad, but Malgus and Bane definitely were like standout characters in that. I mean, you remember more of them than you do the Jedi characters, honestly. And then you have Darth Bane, who is, of course, important with what he did in with the Rule of Two and all that. So there you go. So thank you for those questions, Treva. Moving on now to Tyler Carter, who asks, have you seen the conspiracy theory about Jar Jar as a Sith? Yeah, I already answered this question. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the whole Jar Jar was a secret Sith. He was just an idiot. Alright, moving on now to Cody Bradish, who asks, which Sith can make a good Marvel could make good Marvel villains? Sidious, Vader, Bane, and Malgus. Yeah, to name a few. Same with those questions. Well, thank you for that question, Cody. Moving on now to Gangster Shy Guy, who asks, what would Darth Vader and the Emperor think of the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse and Moloch from Sleepy Hollow? I think they would be like, man, we's about to be in some shit. Let's go get him. Yeah. Least favorite Sith. Don't really have one. And who was the original Sith? They actually were a race of aliens, of Force-sensitive aliens from the planet Korriban, but led by an emperor called in the name of Naga Sadow. Unfortunately, however, other Force-sensitive beings kind of came in and took all that away from them, tragically. So there you go. So moving on now to thank those questions, Gangster Shy Guy. Moving on now to Robo Kaiju 75, who asks, the Fugitoid and the Turtles get sucked into an alternate dimension where Shredder becomes a Sith Lord and joins the dark side. What happens next? Someone about to get fucked up. No, really, someone is about to get smacked around. Second question, what is your honest opinion? What Disney villain would you think make an awesome Sith Lord? Maleficent, Ursula, Jafar, Dr. Facilier. There you go, just name a few. Third question, Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy meets General Starkiller from Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Who do you think would win in a one-on-one fight? Probably Starkiller, but in a dance-off, gotta give it to Star-Lord. So think of those questions, Robo Kaiju. Moving on now to Jesse Sutres, who asks, do you think an upgraded version of General Grievous could be successfully incorporated into the original trilogy timeline without it feeling contrived with the Emperor as the Emperor's return in the EU? And if so, how do you think it would be done? It's kind of already being done in a way, because in the Darth Vader comics by Karen Gillan in Marvel, there's a Mon Calamari who was actually his body was near death, and his body was remolded in the vein of General Grievous. And he's one of the potential usurpers for Vader currently. So I guess you do have a version of Grievous, an upgraded Grievous in here. Second question, what would you think of the Star Wars Rebels fanfiction narrative wherein the show's main characters meets Galen's heroic clone from Force Unleashed 2? I'd actually be okay with that, even though not a big fan of the game, but it would be a fun story to read, honestly. Third question, which ancient Sith Lord would you personally choose as a hypothetical opponent for modern Jedi Master from either original trilogy or pre-trilogy, and who would be victorious in the conclusion of that duel? Yoda and Darth Nihilus fight. I don't know who would win. Maybe Nihilus. That dude was pretty damn powerful, but yeah. Love to see Yoda and Nihilus fight. Not with lightsabers, but with the Force, like it's supposed to be. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jesse. Moving on now to BooRat1, who asks, what are your thoughts and opinions on... I already answered this one. Second, what alien species from any franchise would you like to see as a Sith Lord with all the tattoos and junk actually appear in some sort of ethical crossover comic? Maybe a Krogan Sith? That'd be kind of cool, actually. Or better yet, a Turian. Yeah, Turian Sith. There you go. With the Sith tattoos and shit. Third question. Of all the old EU Sith Lords, which do you think they'll bring into the new movies in the new EU? One of them hasn't been mentioned or referenced at all yet. I don't know, like, if they'll do it at all, honestly, but if I would like to see one, it should be Bane. Like, at least give Bane some credit. Alright. Moving on now to thank you for those questions, Boo Rat 1. Moving on now to George Pudillo. I'm so sorry for for butchering that. I just wrote a Digimon adventure trip and want to write a crossover, but you're stuck on what Star Wars characters? What can you think of any Digimon for Vader and the Emperor? For Digimon, okay, Vader and the Emperor with Digimon companions. I would say maybe Demi Devimon for Vader, just to see them kind of bicker, or Vader just force choke the shit out of him. And for the Emperor, maybe Myotismon. There you go. That's all. That's the best I can think of right off the top of my head. Thank you for those questions, George. And again, I apologize for butchering the name. Anyway, moving on now to Red Leader Antilles, who asks, of characters from Clone Wars and EU characters who are not yet canon again, who would you want to be Inquisitors? I know a lot of people want Barra Sophie to return as an Inquisitor, and we all thought that's who she was as the Seventh Sister, but unfortunately she's not. So maybe Barra Sophie. Really just her, if you want to go by dark side characters. I would have said Ventress, but she got killed off in that really bad novel. Maybe not as Inquisitors, but I'd like to see like the resurgence of the Night Sisters. Like there's a new Night Sisters group. I know you have to be born a Night Sister, but maybe it's kind of like with the Sith, where they got reformed as something from something else. So maybe something like that. I don't know. Second question: would you be sad if they don't outright mention Revan in Episode 7, since the Knights of Ren seem to have based Kylo's mask on his? I'd be a little bummed, but I think I would get past it. If Ostrander could write one more Star Wars comic, what would it be? Oh man, John Ostrander, not only was he best known for writing a really good run in Suicide Squad, he was really damn good at writing Star Wars, preferably Boba Fett. So John Ostrander, if they should let him do some Boba Fett comics. Speaking of which, why haven't they done Boba Fett comics yet? You're doing a comic with Chewbacca. You're doing an ongoing with Lando. You're doing, you've got the James Robinson and the artist from, they're getting back. I can't remember the artist's name, but yeah, the creative team behind the Starman run is doing a C-3PO one-shot, which I think is already out. Now that I think about it, you had Mark Waid on Princess Leia. I'm also kind of surprised we haven't, we've got Gary Duggan on a Chewbacca mini. I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Han Solo mini. Anyway. So yeah, why have we get John Ostrander on a Boba Fett ongoing? Anyway. So, thank you for those questions, Red Leader. Moving right along to Predator Warrior 18, who asks, which one of these video games did you not have the most fun, or looked like it would be the most fun playing as Darth Vader, not counting Lego games? Revenge of the Sith, Battlefront 2, Force Unleashed, Soul Calibur, the new Battlefront. Oh, okay. Did you have the most fun, or looked like it was the most fun? I gotta say, like, Revenge of the can't talk. Revenge of the Sith playthrough as Vader is really fun. Battlefront 2 is awesome as playing as Vader, because you can just be like a tank and just slaughter your way through rebels. And Soul Calibur. I love the Soul Calibur Vader, because he wasn't OP, but he could be just enough powerful to, hold his own. It wasn't like with Yoda, where you had to like kneel down and hit him. Oh, that was such a fucking cheat. But Vader was just like, it was so cool to see him fight, it's just like a fan fiction fight come to life, in a sense, of seeing Nightmare and Vader go head to head. So, I liked all of them. But if you were to ask me like top two, Battlefront 2 and Soul Calibur. I haven't played the new Battlefront yet, because I don't have a Xbox One, and from what I hear, I'm not missing out. Anyway, so your second question is, Darth Vader, Predator, Jason Voorhees, and the Terminator invite you to a poker game. Your thoughts? Thanks guys, but I got stuff to do. Yeah, that stuff is really important. Have fun. Third question, if you were going to make a new movie or video game about Darth Vader, what kind of story would you give it? I think what I would like to do with Vader, like what kind of story I would give him, like as a new movie or video game, maybe have it that Vader is maybe have it like the story of how Vader created his new lightsaber, because obviously, yeah, he lost his, and he had, Obi-Wan took his after their battle on Mustafar. So maybe have it that Vader, the Emperor, sends him on a quest to find a red kyber crystal. I mean, yeah, they synthetically make them, but he, because obviously Sidious is his master and likes to make Vader his bitch, just sends him off to Korriban to, find and build his new lightsaber. So Vader goes all the way to Korriban alone, and he's just kind of he's kind of plagued by the other Sith Lords of the past, like Bane and Malgus and other Sith Lords, and who don't really see, do you have the potential to become a Sith Lord and earn this right? I kind of make it kind of like that episode of Rebels where Ezra went on that quest, and Yoda was judging him and Kanan to earn his kyber crystal. So make it like a villain, a Sith version of that episode, and make it a kick-ass movie or video game or something. I also look from the rest of the description, you kind of had almost the same idea, Predator Warrior. So, yeah. Alright, moving on finally to Shockwave Spider, who asks, which villains from video games and cartoons, such as Invader Zim, Mojo Jojo, Lord Hater, Eggman, Negaduck, Bowser, Azula, Vilgax, Van Kleist, would be more dangerous threat if they turned the dark side and became a Sith Lord? Zim is more of a threat to himself, even with dark side powers. Mojo, same with Mojo. Lord Hater would be like, I shoot lightning bolts now! They're even better than before! Eggman, depending on which Eggman you're using, probably 90s Eggman would be terrifying. Negaduck would be uber scary. Bowser, possibly. Azula and Vilgax and Van Kleist, God, they'd all be nightmares to deal with. Second question, if you destroyed the Emperor, would you take his place and rule the Empire? Yeah, but I don't think it would last. I'm not good with responsibility. Third question, if you became the ruler of the Galactic Sith Empire, who would you have as your apprentice? Anybody? I'm going to choose Jason Voorhees 2011. That would be my apprentice right there. Jason, I hope you're watching all the way to the end. You are now my apprentice. Not really. Anyway, so once again, thank you all for this for the Q&A. That was a really great turnout. Awesome. As always, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means YouTube is being a dick and marked your questions as spam or didn't have them show up on the list at all. So once again, I do apologize for that. But on a whole, I want to thank everybody who sent in questions. This was awesome. And yeah, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.